Hi there guys, and welcome to today's video on the Curse of Strahd campaign module. Now, this has been a video that's been a long time coming. I've wanted to do this for quite a while, but I wanted to wait a little bit before I presented you with this video. So, Curse of Strahd's been out for a little while now, and I've seen a lot of reviews saying that it is one of the best modules ever published. And a lot of people saying that it is definitely the best module for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And I've got to agree. I have the unique standpoint of I have read this adventure, I have played this adventure as a player, and I've also DM'd this adventure. It is incredibly sandboxy, meaning there is loads of ways you can sort of branch out and explore this realm. And every time you sit down to play it, it feels fresh, it feels different. What's also great is because this adventure is essentially based on your typical Dracula sort of stereotypes, then it means that you can incorporate a lot of additional content that isn't found in the Curse of Strahd. And that's absolutely wonderful. It means that, for example, in one of my games I included a travelling salesman who was kind of like a snake oil salesman called Victor. And Victor, he has a few dark secrets, but one of them is that he tries, he sort of experiments on his customers, so he gives them sort of items and things like that will turn them into different beasts and creatures and mess up with their alignment and things like that. So Victor's an interesting character, but he could only really be included in an adventure like Curse of Strahd. I absolutely love this adventure. So I wanted to first talk a little bit about the book. The artwork on this book is absolutely fantastic and really captures the tone of this book. I'm a big fan of artwork, guys. I do really, really like this. I think it was, it says right here, it was done by Ben Oliver. Really great piece of artwork, and there's also really amazing bits of artwork throughout this book. We can see here there's a brilliant portrait there of Strahd right there, and that really helps to set a scene. As a DM, I find the artwork really helps me sort of describe the area for my players. This book is about 250 pages long. I think it's 256 exactly. We'll have a look at the back there. Set out in the typical 5th edition style. What's really great about this, and you guys who have seen a few of my videos know that I'm a massive fan of maps. And we get an absolute corker of a map right here. I don't think I'll be able to show it all on screen at once. But you can see we've actually got the full map of Barovia right here, guys. And this is the area where the adventure takes place. They start off right down here, and they move their way along. Castle Ravenloft is here. It's a really great little bit. There's a key in the corner. And we've also got some sort of town maps here, guys. Now, on the back of this map, and this is incredibly useful for players and DMs to visualize this, we've got Castle Ravenloft. This is absolutely fantastic because it gives you scales, how many feet high it is, all that kind of thing. So it allows you to describe it in a more realistic fashion. Now, what I actually found to be the best way to go with this, guys, is that character Victor I said about in the beginning. Victor is actually carrying this exact map on him with little detailed things of the towns and things like that. So if the characters want, they can buy a map of Barovia off him for an extortionate amount. But what it also does, it gives them the key, and that allows it to feel a lot more sandboxy, right? That allows the players to turn around and go, well, I want to go here. I don't know, for example, what G is. I could read what it's called. There we are. It's a Serpool encampment, right? As a player, I don't know what's there. I have no idea. I've never read this adventure. I don't know what is in that location, but that's where I want to go as a character. That's where I want to explore. Alternatively, they might walk straight past the map. They might not have a chance to get it, in which case I tell my players, get a scrap bit of paper and start drawing, because you might get lost in this brilliant, brilliant realm. So this is absolutely fantastic, and I always give my players, when there's a map like this, it's an amazing prop to use. I always give the players an opportunity to have access to this map, because it can change how they view the world. So I really like this. So guys, I've just turned now to the content page, and one thing that I found absolutely just outstanding was that this book is in a lot of detail. And we have got a lot of information on this just entire area here for us to explore. We've got a brilliant introduction, and then how to start the adventure with adventure hooks, how it can be different every time, all that kind of stuff. It then goes into the lands of Barovia and things like that, but the story doesn't really start until you get to the village of Barovia. And this is where things get interesting. You can see that there are actually 15 chapters in this book, including Appendix B, which is an adventure to get characters from, I believe it's 1st to 3rd level, which you can run completely separate from this if you wanted to. And what this does, guys, is when I first opened this book and had a look at it, I was a little bit concerned, because I was thinking, God, 15 chapters, that's 15 sessions. If they get through a chapter a session, that's a lot of content. But no, it doesn't work like that. The way it works is the characters are going to craft their own story. So you might then end up going to only 4 of these places. You might only need to go to 4 of these places. Obviously, Castle Ravenloft is one of them. And every single chapter that they have in here, guys, let's see if I can turn, here we go, this is Barovia here, a couple of notes in there. Every single chapter that they have in here has just the perfect level of detail, right? Sometimes there's the problem with, there's just too much detail in this book, right? I'm not going to need all this. Sometimes there's too little and it doesn't give you things to play around with. This is a book that the characters' actions have consequences, and they will feel the consequences one way or another, right? So this is absolutely brilliant here. It covers a lot of different areas, but it also leaves a lot of things to be explored. If we look at the first village, which is the village of Barovia, you can see that it actually only highlights a few houses here, and there's actually a random roll table somewhere on, here we are, the occupants of the houses in Barovia. Now this leaves a lot of sort of opportunity for the characters to find completely random NPCs, characters that you've included that are just made up on the fly, possible alternate sort of storylines. Maybe you have a homebrew story that you'd like to throw into this campaign. You can do that really simply, guys. It's really, really easy to expand upon. Now, guys, I don't really want to go talking too much about the story. The reason being is because it's very simple. Destroy Strahd, right? That's what you want to do. However, what makes this story just incredible is that Strahd and the story that the players will be experiencing is going to be different every time. Basically, at the beginning, there's a card reading, and what that card reading does is it tells the players kind of where the important places they need to go are. They need to find certain items to defeat Strahd, and they need to meet certain conditions to defeat Strahd. And to do that, to find these items, they need to go to these random locations that they discover by a card reading, like a tarot card reading. I absolutely love this because, as I said, it just makes the adventure completely different for different players. So I can't really tell you what the story of the adventure is, apart from beat Strahd, because when you come to run this adventure, or when you come to play this adventure, it will be different for you than it has been for me. But all I can say is every chapter of this book is brilliantly laid out. There's so much information in here, and there's so much room to sort of roleplay, to have battles with. There's really interesting situations, and most of the chapters in this book have special events, which I love. The special events are basically like things that happen that the players might not see But if they do happen upon them, if they do happen to witness them, it's going to change their perspective a little bit. For example, in the first village, the village of Barovia, there's a special event called, where basically every night, hundreds upon hundreds of ghosts rise up from the graveyard and they march to Castle Ravenloft. Now, when the players are asking, like, well, who are these adventurers? Who are these characters? Who are these ghosts? Why are they going there? The NPCs tell them, like, these are the ghosts of people who have failed to beat Strahd. And this kind of has this foreboding element of, like, oh god, Strahd is really powerful. The best thing about Strahd is because this entire adventure is based around this character of Strahd von... I can't remember his last name. There we are. Strahd von Zarovich. Because the entire adventure is based around this character, he should make an appearance. What I love about this book is it tells you right at the beginning as a DM, Strahd is not going to just sit by and wait for the characters to get to him. He's going to make himself known. Now, what's absolutely great about this is he has abilities like Charm. He can also change his shape to look less like himself. So what I like to do is, Strahd, as a shape changer, can try to actually play off that he's an innocent NPC trying to just, like, tag along with the party, and then reveal himself to be this master, master of this realm. He can charm players and try to manipulate their actions, which is really great to roleplay. But what he did in my first session, guys, I introduced my players to this book at level 5. Some players were level 5, some were level 6. And Strahd turned up in that first adventure, and one of the players, who was pretty decent health, he was a rogue, he was pretty versatile, he was pretty good, decided he would attack Strahd, and Strahd in one attack downed him. Strahd is incredibly powerful, and he makes that very apparent in his abilities. He's a tough guy to beat, guys. I absolutely love this character. He's really fun to roleplay, and he's really complex. He's not just, oh, I want to take, this is my realm, I'm going to protect it. There are certain goals that he has throughout the adventure, right? And it talks about it right in the beginning parts of this book. It talks about what Strahd's goals are as a villain, what he wants to achieve, and the players can fail. Strahd can succeed at his plans, and if he does that, then choose what's going to happen, right? Do the players fail? Are they, is Strahd more powerful now than he was before? Do they stand no chance of beating him? Do they just have to find a way out of his realm? It's up to you guys, and that's what I like. So, guys, my goal with this, I don't really want to say review, but discussion about Curse of Strahd, hasn't been to ruin anything for players and DMs. But if you guys are on the fence about buying this adventure, please don't be. This is one of the best adventures that I have ever played. This is one of the best adventures that I have ever run. I'm running a homebrew campaign in which I sort of slot in adventure modules like this and try to tie them in with the campaign that I've already got running. And this worked incredibly well. I could do that so easily. The players actually were intending to go on a different adventure when they were dragged and lost into Strahd's realm. Strahd made it clear that he wouldn't let these players leave, and it's up to them. Do they want to just try and find a way to escape, or do they want to beat Strahd? There's a lot of really small, fun little campaign sort of adventures going on in here, dotted around the place, which I like. But what that means is that the players, they go to one town, they pick up a couple of little quests. They go to another town, they complete a few, but they pick up more quests. And eventually they just have loads of things that they can do in this adventure. It's filled with content. And it's only 250 pages long, guys. So this is absolutely fantastic. Now, my recommendation for this adventure, guys, is that you take it easy on your players. As I said, my players going into this adventure were level 5, and they had a rough time. If you introduce players to this adventure at level 1, be very careful, guys, because they will be killed if you don't plan ahead. Another thing, guys, is this is an adventure where I actually played it under a dungeon master that hadn't read it. This was a big issue because it meant that he didn't prep his sessions, and it meant that the sessions, they were very rough around the edges. This is an adventure where you want to ask your players where they're going on the map next, and then read that chapter and familiarise yourself with it, because there's a lot of content in there that you should know going in. So guys, with that in mind, I rate this adventure incredibly highly. I recommend everybody play it, everybody own it. I hope this video is helpful for some people. Have a great day.